You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United, and on today's episode, it was a winning weekend as the Cleveland Cavaliers held off a scrappy Pistons team. Coby White went absolutely crazy as the Bulls win back-to-back games for the first time this season, and the Sacramento Kings took care of business against the reigning defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets. We have 3 victories to break down. It's going to be a good episode. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, Nation, you already know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United, your Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and Chicago Bulls postgame reaction podcast. And I am your host, Carlo Weisberg. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into today's show. And you can find Let 'Em Know Kings United, which is 100% completely free and available on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Spotify, Pandora, and wherever else you want to listen to the show. Give the show a follow on those platforms if you can. Please turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. It is a great way to support the podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. We did not just get 1 win this weekend, not 2, but 3 wins this weekend as the Cavs, Kings, and Bulls won all 3 games this past weekend. And let me tell you something, winning weekends are the best. It's good that we talk about just 1 win, right? It's great that we talk about 2 wins, but it's even better, probably the best feeling in the world, where we talk all 3 wins, and that is exactly what we are about to do on today's show. First and foremost, I want to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers handing the Detroit Pistons their 17th straight loss by a final score of 110-101 as Max Strus and Darius Garland played big time for the Cleveland Cavaliers as the Pistons lost 17 straight games. Now, before I even get into it, I need to give the kudos to the Detroit Pistons, even though they are one of the worst teams in the NBA so far this season, even though Monty Williams has $78 million worth of coaching absolute garbage. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. The Detroit Pistons do not know how to play in Monty Williams' system. They were switching wrong. They were reading screens wrong. They were not showing on screens, and they were giving the Cleveland Cavaliers all kinds of curl action all day long. But as it pertains for this game, I need to give the kudos to the Pistons because they showed a lot of fight in this game. I gotta give them credit. They're fighting for their lives. They're a 2-win team, and they might be a 2-18 team, but my God, that team has a whole lot of talent, more than I expected. And by the way, they got their best score from a year ago back. Bojan Bogdanovic returned to this game after missing, I believe it was 2 months of the season due to an injury, but that didn't matter to Darius Garland. That didn't matter to Max Strus. That didn't matter for the rest of the Cleveland Cavaliers because all Cleveland had to do was take care of business. It was scrappy, it was hard at times, and it was getting a little bit too difficult watching the Detroit Pistons making their run. But DG, Strus, and the guys came to play, and the Cavaliers were able to take care of business on the road and do what they're supposed to do against the Detroit Pistons. Max Strus said this: it was a physical game. You could tell they were trying to earn one, and all respect to them. They played hard, and they crashed the glass. And another thing that I need to give kudos to the Detroit Pistons for, they were doing a good job in this game, like Max Strus said, of rebounding the ball. It's hard. It's hard to get rebounds in this league. I mean, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are like the kings of rebounds for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but for the Detroit Pistons, they had guys like Asar Thompson crashing the glass. They had guys like Jalen Duren off the glass. And Monty Williams, you are a good coach. I'm not saying that you are going to get fired in year one. Like, I'm not going to go there. I know you're a good coach, and I know you're used to turning around struggling teams, hence what he did to the Phoenix Suns. But with the amount of injuries that the Pistons have already had this season, and given the fact that this is the longest losing streak in one season in franchise history, and the second longest overall behind a 21-game slide at the end of the 1979-80 season and the start of 80-81, they haven't even won a game since October 28th, near Halloween against Chicago. It's almost poetic that the Chicago Bulls right now are looking like a better team than the Detroit Pistons. But I'm not going to talk about the Bulls right now. I'm going to talk about the Bulls in the next segment. But back to Cleveland, they did what they're supposed to do. And by the way, Bojan Bogdanovic said this after the game: I want to win because I know how hard it is, especially when you're young and we're struggling. It's hard to say good words. It's hard to say something positive. We want to win. And oh, by the way, welcome back, Bogey. He had 22 points in his season debut after an off-season calf injury. It was really, really good to see Bojan Bogdanovic come back. Are the Pistons going to make a furious run? I don't think so. I think they're too young and they're not used to Monty Williams' system. But with the amount of talent that they got back with Bojan Bogdanovic and Isaiah Livers, maybe the Pistons are more talented than what the record 2-18 is looking to be. But whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, you need to get wins. And all credit to Cleveland, that is exactly what they did. We outscored the Detroit Pistons 29-18 in the second quarter and 25-19 in the fourth quarter. When the Pistons hit those lulls, the Cavs did what they're supposed to do and took advantage. And by the way, Donovan Mitchell added 20 points for Cleveland, and Jared Allen had 19 points and 11 rebounds. But Strus and Cavaliers coach J.B. Bickerstaff had special praise for Isaac Okoro. And let me tell you something. I get that Donovan Mitchell was getting his, right? I get that Darius Garland and Max Strus were the offensive MVPs of this game. But I gotta tell you, my MVP of this game is definitely Isaac Okoro because he was dripping with ice, dripping with ice for the way that he played on both ends of the floor. He had 9 points. That's a little bit underwhelming, right? But listen to this. He had 7 rebounds, 4 steals, and 4 assists in 33 minutes off the bench. And also, he was doing the little things. He was taking charges, driving to the lane, and scoring big baskets when he needed to. That's a role player that I can rely on if you're Cleveland. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, after this performance, you better make Isaac Okoro the 6th man off the bench. Why? Because he's dripping with ice. J.B. Bickerstaff said, and I quote, he was unbelievable down the stretch. He was taking charges, making shots, driving to the basket, and scoring. He was awesome when he needed to be, and that's who he is. And by the way, for Detroit, you cannot blame Cade Cunningham. He is the most healthy. He is the most consistent in that team. 23 points and 11 assists for him. He's going to be a superstar. And Monty Williams said after this loss, when you lost this many games, you're trying to do your darnest to do whatever it takes to win the game. We just had a low in the second, and then we had a hole at the end of the third and the beginning of the fourth. I ran some stuff down the stretch for Bogey, but I think he was a little bit gassed at the moment. I just love having him on the floor. And the Pistons outscored the Cleveland Cavaliers 34-31 in the first period. And Detroit also started the second half with a 10-0 run to take a 58-54 lead. But at the end of the day, and Austin Carr mentioned this, the Pistons are a young team that don't know how to win yet. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are a much more veteran team, but they have experience of winning games like this. But you cannot blame the Detroit Pistons of how they played. You cannot blame Detroit for their effort and their fight. But at the end of the day, Max Strus, DG, and Isaac Okoro were a little bit too much as the Cleveland Cavaliers did what they were supposed to do, and they got another win, a good quality win against a divisional opponent, mind you. I don't care if the Pistons are 2-18. They're a divisional game, and you gotta win games in their division. And all credit to Cleveland, that is exactly what they did. But they have a tough test, though, against the number one defense in the NBA, in the Orlando Magic. And let me tell you something, these boys are impressive as hell, with Mo and Franz Wagner playing like all-stars, Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs, who are spark plugs coming off the bench. Paolo Banchero is proving why he was the rookie of the year, and so far in his second season, he looks like an absolute stud. And Jamal Mosley is a hell of a good coach. This is going to be a good test for the Cleveland Cavaliers come Wednesday at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I am excited to see how this matchup plays out. It could be a potential playoff preview between the Cavs and the Magic. I'm excited for this one. But back to the stats for Cavs and Pistons. The Cavs shot 49% for the field and 33% from three-point range. The Pistons shot 47% for the field, 26% from three-point range. Both teams were struggling at the foul line. The rebounds were 49-43 in favor of the Pistons. The assist numbers, 25-24, a one-point edge in favor of the Cavs, but the steals were 11-9 in favor of the Cleveland Cavaliers, leading to 11-9 fast break points. The points in the paint, the Cavaliers dominated as expected, 58-46 on that regard. And the total turnovers in this game, 16 turnovers for Detroit compared to 11 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. As who stood out for this game, Max Strus was leading the Cavaliers in scoring along with Darius Garland. Strus had 22 points. He was 4 for 10 from three-point range with 5 rebounds and 5 assists and a steal. He was getting going late in the second half. DG, he was doing DG things, 22 points, 5 assists, a couple of rebounds with 3 steals. Donovan Mitchell added 20 points with 4 assists, 3 rebounds. He was 7-19 from the field. Jared Allen with 19 points, 11 rebounds, a double-double for him with 3 assists and a steal. It wasn't the best game for Evan Mobley, but he was crashing the boards when he needed to. 6 points with 11 big rebounds. And Isaac Okoro dripping with ice off the bench, 9 points, a plus-minus a plus 15, 4 assists, 4 steals, and 6 rebounds. Was this his best game as the Cleveland Cavalier coming off the bench? Absolutely it is. As far as the Detroit Pistons, Cade Cunningham, he's looking like he could be an all-star for Detroit this year. He had 23 points, 11 assists on the night, a double-double for him, with 2 steals and 8 big rebounds. Bojan Bogdanovic off the bench, 22 points with 2 assists, 2 rebounds. He was 7 of 15 from the field and 3 for 10 from three-point range. You gotta respect his three-point range. He is one of the best shooters in the Detroit Pistons and maybe one of the best scorers in the NBA today. Not as good as Steph Curry though, but nevertheless, Bojan Bogdanovic could be under the radar come as the season is still in full freaking swing. So all credit to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They did what they were supposed to do. And the Pistons, although it was a scrappy effort, you don't know how to win yet. But I believe that Monty Williams could turn them around, and maybe he could make me regret leaving my childhood team, which is the Detroit Pistons. But the Cavs at the end of the day had to get a win against a divisional opponent, and that is exactly what they did. Coming up next, for the first time this season, the Chicago Bulls have won back-to-back games, and Coby White went absolutely crazy against the New Orleans Pelicans. We're going to talk about a Bulls win when we come back on Let 'Em Know Kings United. Welcome back to Let 'Em Know Kings United, and this is going to feel so damn good when I'm saying this. For the first time this season, the Chicago Bulls have won not one, but 2 straight games. Both of them, mind you, against quality opponents. The Milwaukee Bucks was an overtime instant classic. We all knew what happened. Alex Caruso, AC, turned it up because he was hot. A game-tying 3, and then we went on a run and dominated overtime against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. We get all of that. How do we build off of that? We beat Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans by a final score of 124-118 because a guy by the name of Coby White from North Carolina went absolutely crazy. Now, let me tell you something. If anybody doubted Coby White's talent, I don't know what you're in for. I don't know why you listen to the show. All I know is you in the wrong business. Coby White went absolutely crazy. 31 points. A season high, mind you. 31 points for him. Probably his best game as a Chicago Bull. Bar none. Bar none, this man deserved to be the point guard. I question why he was the point guard at the beginning of the year. I question that if Coby White had some talent. Now, I'm not going to deny Coby White's talent now, but I question a lot of other things related to Coby White. I question his shot making. I questioned his leadership ability. If he could show some leadership qualities of how to be a point guard. But let me tell you something, people. Coby White has answered so many of my questions and a whole lot more with 31 points. DeMar DeRozan returned this past weekend too. He scored 24 points and he had 10 assists. He missed the previous game with a left ankle sprain, but took charge of a Bulls team missing Zach LaVine, helping them turn around the game in the third quarter and route to their second straight victory. White helped Chicago put it away with an alley-oop to Patrick Williams for a 6-point lead with 20 seconds left. Coby White said about the alley-oop, as long as I threw it up high enough that Valanciunas couldn't get it, I knew that Pat is so athletic and bouncing and springy that he could go get it. That's becoming his thing. Ending the game with monster dunks. And let me tell you something, people. Patrick Williams is not no bum. I called him a bum earlier in the year. I am sorry, Patrick Williams, for disrespecting you. This dude is an absolute stud. Can he keep it up consistently? I don't know. But the way he's performing right now, and the way that the Chicago Bulls are playing right now, who, by the way, are 2-0 without Zach LaVine. I think we found the problem of why the Chicago Bulls have no heart. The Chicago Bulls had no fight. The Chicago Bulls had no passion. The Chicago Bulls had no respect to the game because of Zach LaVine. This man was only in for the money. $40 million a year. Big ass contract. But your game speaks volumes, Zach LaVine. Nobody cares about your big money contract, okay? Nobody cares. Nobody cares anymore. Sorry, I had to giggle a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, Zach LaVine, you are only in for the money. You're not in for the Chicago Bulls. You're not in for your teammates. You're not even in for the city of Chicago. And you sure as hell are not in for the fan base. The fact of the matter is, you are only in for the money, and that's all you're good for. You're good for a paycheck, and that's about it. I need guys that play for the city. I need guys that play with passion. I need guys like Ayo Dosunmu, who looked like Illinois Io out there tonight. I need guys like Patrick Williams who is an absolute stud. I need guys like Alex Caruso, who is a defensive dog once again, but he left this game due to a toe injury. It was the same damn nagging toe injury that Billy Donovan was mentioning in his post-game presser. He said he re-aggravated it. I really do not know how bad it is. If he'll miss any time, it certainly was hurting him enough that he couldn't play up in the second half. I better hope he doesn't miss time because Alex Caruso is absolutely huge for us, especially on the defensive end. But can we talk about the Bulls bench? Ayo Dosunmu, Torrey Craig, Andre Drummond stepped up huge. Even Julian Phillips came in and got some big buckets late. But the one issue that I have with the Chicago Bulls is they still aren't good enough defensively to the point that they couldn't stop Zion Williamson, who is really tough to stop. Brandon Ingram was getting buckets for New Orleans. Those guys were going to get theirs. I expected that. But Chicago needs to do a lot better of reading the scouting report on defense, especially on Herb Jones. You cannot allow a guy like Herb Jones to get to the paint and make some easy cuts like that. And by the way, if anybody knew that coming into this game that Zion Williamson would play back-to-back nights for the first time all season, If you told me Zion Williamson was going to play back-to-back nights tonight, I would have called you crazy. But it actually happened. He rested for 3 previous opportunities this year. Williamson scored 8 of his team high 27 points in the final 3 minutes of the second quarter. The scoring flurry helped New Orleans take a 61-53 lead at halftime, but the Bulls outscored the New Orleans Pelicans 36-21 in the third quarter to erase that deficit. That's a team that plays with heart. That's a team that plays like passion, who, oh, by the way, once again, with no Zach LaVine. So, by the way, Zach LaVine, get the living hell out of Chicago, get the living hell out of a Bulls uniform, and get the living hell out of my city of Chicago, because I do not want you on my team. Get off my team now. Now. Zach LaVine, like I said, you were only in for the money. You were only in for a big paycheck. That was it. As far as DeMar DeRozan saying about the game, sometimes you just got to do it until you get it right. We've had moments, we had periods of quarters, halves that we did it. Now we've been putting together a full game with it. That's how we got to play if we want to keep putting up wins. The Bulls' offense right now is improved on so many levels. My challenge is, can they do it consistently? I think they got a good opportunity these next 2 games. I mean, you got a Charlotte Hornets team that has no LaMelo Ball, but scary Terry Rozier is an absolute stud. And now you got a Spurs team who's lost 14 straight games, but you got a bigger test with Victor Wembanyama. So, as far as I'm seeing right now, I see the Chicago Bulls winning the next 2 games, going 9-14. But they got to make sure they execute in order to make that happen. But you know what? If the Bulls keep playing like this, I can see that happening. Willie Green said about the loss, our margin for error is smaller when you have guys not available tonight. So we just have to learn from that. We have to be better with our execution on both ends of the floor. And the loss snapped a 3-game winning streak for the New Orleans Pelicans ahead of their in-season tournament quarterfinal on final tonight, as of this recording, against the Sacramento Kings, which I am going to get into that in just a second. But here's the thing. The Pelicans coming into this game held opponents to the lowest 3-point shooting percentage in the NBA last year and entered Saturday once again as best in the league in that. Yet, a Bulls team missing its most proven perimeter shooter in Zach LaVine, who, by the way, was in for the money, like I said, hit 17 of 43-point attempts, with White making a season-high 8 3-pointers. You know what? Coby White, you deserve all of the flowers. You deserve all of the Goose Island IPA that the city of Chicago can provide to you. And Chicago, we got 2 wins. We got 2 wins, baby. I feel pretty good saying that the Bulls win 2 straight. Can they make it 3? If they continue to play this way going into Charlotte on Wednesday at the United Center, that could possibly happen. I'm more confident in this Bulls team now than I've been since I renamed this show to let them know Kings United. That speaks volumes. 54% for the field for Chicago, 50% for the New Orleans Pelicans. The Bulls shot 17 of 40 from 3. That is 42% for the three-point range. Outstanding compared to 32% for Chicago, or I should say the New Orleans Pelicans with 8 of 25 from three-point range. The rebounds, 41-39 in favor of the Chicago Bulls with 12 big offensive rebounds. The assist, 32-20. I thought the ball movement for the Chicago Bulls, especially on that one play to Torrey Craig's corner 3, was absolutely immaculate. The blocks were 8-1 in favor of Chicago. The steals were 10-6 in favor of New Orleans. The points in the paint, 56-48 to the New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, when you have Herb Jones and Zion Williamson controlling the paint like they did, I mean, there's nothing that you couldn't do to stop that. But at the end of the day, the Bulls win, and the Bulls won 2 straight. Herb Jones, 17 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block. Zion Williamson scored a team-high 27 points for the Pelicans with 1 steal, 3 assists, a couple of rebounds. He was 10 of 15 for the field, as well as Brandon Ingram, who had 23 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. And Jonas Valanciunas finished with 15 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double for him with a assist and 2 for 4 from three-point range. But it's about Coby freaking White and the Chicago Bulls. 31 points for Coby White, 8 of 13 from three-point range, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. He almost had a double-double in this game. If he had a double-double scoring 31 points, I would have said that Coby White is that guy. Coby White is the coldest dude in the streets of Chicago right now. And DeMar DeRozan, Compton's in the house. 24 points, 10 assists, a double-double for him, 5 big rebounds. He was 2 for 4 from three-point range, 10 of 18 from the field in 40 minutes of play. Nikola Vucevic, I don't know what the hell was wrong with you, bro. I don't know what the hell was wrong with you, but you had a bad night. Although you had 7 rebounds and 4 6 plus 6 points, come on now. Come on now, you're better than that. Maybe the matchup with Zion Williamson was a bad matchup for you, but my God, Vucevic, you had a really, really bad night. Andre Drummond, though, he picked up the slack. 7 points, 8 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds and an assist. He was outstanding. And Io DeSumo coming off the bench, 15 points, 3 assists. He looked like Illinois. Io, the way he was running the fast break. Torrey Craig, he was 3 for 4 from three-point range tonight and finished with 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Bulls win. Bulls win 2 straight for the first time all year, and it feels pretty damn good. If we keep playing like this, the Charlotte Hornets are going to run into a buzzsaw, and I think the Bulls are in the mood of charging into a furious comeback, but we got to take care of business against the Charlotte Hornets and the San Antonio Spurs. If we keep this energy up, if we keep this offensive flow going, we might go places, ladies and gentlemen. Do not hit the switch off the Chicago Bulls. If we keep this up, we're going to surprise some people. Coming up next, the Sacramento Kings were facing the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champion Denver Nuggets. And thanks to De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, they were able to take care of the reigning, defending NBA champions and the Joker ahead of their big matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans tonight at the Golden One Center. But we got to break down the Nuggets and the Kings' victory over the Denver Nuggets, and we're going to do that when we come back. I'll let them know Kings United. Welcome back to Let 'em Know Kings United. The third team that got the win this past weekend was the Sacramento Kings over the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champion Denver Nuggets by a final score of 123 to 117. And the biggest story of the night was De'Aaron Fox. He had 26 points. But here's something that's unbelievable. This dude was doing great of sharing the basketball. He had a career high 16 assists. 16 of them! He was sharing the ball at will for the Sacramento Kings in this game. And you know what's absolutely unbelievable? This man did not get a foul line shot till the tail end of this game. He was getting hit left and right by the Denver Nuggets, which apparently the officials decided, you know what? It's the NBA champions. We're going to let them play. Can you give De'Aaron Fox some freaking calls, please? I do not want Mr. Fourth Quarter, first name De'Aaron, last name him Fox, to get fouled left and right and the refs missing calls. Like, come on now. Come on now. And by the way, Nikola Jokic, he had an NBA-leading 8th triple-double in this game. Now, first and foremost, I want to give kudos to the Denver Nuggets. They are the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champions for a reason. The Kings led comfortably for most of the night before the Denver Nuggets made its best run of the night to get to 112-110 with 4 minutes left on Nikola Jokic, only three-pointer of the game. Then Mr. Fourth Quarter, De'Aaron Fox says, you know what? We ain't gonna lose this game. Hell no. We need to build momentum going into tonight's matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans. We need to build momentum because we are gonna be staying at the crib tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans. We need to send New Orleans a message saying, you know what? You ain't gonna beat us that easy, especially in our home floor. Fox made a contested jumper in the key that should have been an and one before Malik Monk's corner three-pointer with 1:11 helped seal the game, and the Golden One Center chants, you already know what they're chanting, light the beam, light the beam. It broke out instantly after the Malik Monk corner jumper, and Kevin Huerter made a corner three, said, you know what, let me seal this deal and let me send Denver home with a big, fresh, hot L. And that is exactly what the Sacramento Kings did. Mike Brown said about De'Aaron Fox, fantastic night from our best player when we needed it most. He has to step up in games like this for us to win. It felt like a playoff atmosphere out inside the Golden One Center. And you know what? Every game against the Denver Nuggets is a playoff game. I don't care if you are the Cleveland Cavaliers, who beat Denver earlier this year. I don't care if you're the Chicago Bulls, who got smoked by Denver earlier this year. Every time you face the Denver Nuggets, it's almost like it's a playoff caliber matchup. And Sacramento feels like they've been there before. And all credit to the Kings. They, for most of the game, basically all game long, dominated the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champions. And as far as Mike Malone said about the loss, I think our 5th game in 7 nights had a lot to do with it. We lost the game in the second quarter. That's where the game got away. And oh, by the way, they outscored, meaning the Sacramento Kings, outscored the Denver Nuggets 39-20 in the second quarter. And Reggie Jackson scored 20 points for Denver, who looked much crisper on offense with Aaron Gordon back in the lineup after missing 4 games with a right heel sprain, and Gordon had 17 points and 7 rebounds. But it wasn't enough as the Kings ended the Nuggets' hopes of winning a 3rd consecutive road game for the first time since the playoffs last season, because the defense stepped up. De'Aaron Fox stepped up what he needed to. Keegan Murray was back for the Sacramento Kings after missing a couple of games due to injury. He made big shots. Kevin Huerter made some big threes, especially that 3 in the quarter. And JaVale McGee, my God, this man went to the bathtub time machine. He went through a time warp, and he went crazy on the defensive end, getting big-time blocks, getting big-time rebounds, getting big-time buckets. That is exactly what I need to see. That is exactly what I needed to see for the Sacramento Kings, but I cannot stop talking about Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. The Joker finished with 36 points, 14 assists, and 13 rebounds. The 114th career triple-double for the big man. The rest of the NBA had 8 triple-doubles combined going into the game. And De'Aaron said about Joker, you're never going to stop him with just one guy. A lot of times, even with the whole team, you probably won't stop him. You just want to make sure the other guys don't really get it going. When they do, it's pretty much pick your poison with that team. Joker's release when he shoots the ball, right? When he shoots the ball, his release is so high to the point that every shot that he puts up, 99% out of 100, it's going to go in. I don't know what you got to do to stop Nikola Jokic's shot. He's just going to get his. He's just going to get his points. He's going to get his rebounds. He's going to get his triple-doubles, and that'll be that. Domantas Sabonis, for the most part, did a really good job hanging in with him. But at the end of the day, it was about De'Aaron Fox. Mr. Fourth Quarter doing what he does best. And by the way, Malik Monk, put this man in the starting lineup sometimes. I get that we have Kevin Huerter right now. But if Kevin Huerter, God forbid, is out with an injury, and De'Aaron Fox, God forbid, is out with an injury, I do not want any more injuries with De'Aaron Fox. But if he happens to be out for either injury reasons or rest reasons, we need to put Malik Monk in the starting lineup sometimes, Mike Brown. I understand that you think he has a better role coming off the bench. I get it. But can you imagine the impact that De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk could have if they are both in the starting lineup with Keegan Murray, Harrison Barnes, and Domantas Sabonis? That lineup would go crazy. That lineup would go absolutely insane, but that's just my opinion. The Kings have a lot of momentum on their side. They are 6-2 at the Golden One Center coming in. They are 11-7 coming in. They got a New Orleans Pelicans team who they lost to twice, but that was in New Orleans. That was in New Orleans. Now that you have a rockin' Golden One Center that is going to be sold out to the Raptors, that it's going to feel like a playoff type atmosphere, I think the Sacramento Kings have the edge. But as long as we stop Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson from going absolutely crazy, I think Sacramento has an absolute shot of not only winning against the New Orleans Pelicans, but going to Las Vegas for the semifinals of the in-season tournament. We're going to have to wait to see who wins between the Suns and the Lakers to see who they play, but they got to take care of New Orleans first before we get there. I am really confident about the Sacramento Kings going in. We just got to contain Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. We got to stop Herb Jones. I think defensively we can do that, but offensively, I need De'Aaron Fox to go off. I need Domantas Sabonis to establish your identity in the paint. You are a better center than Zion Williamson ever is. You are a better man than Jonas Valanciunas ever is, Domantas Sabonis. You better show why you are an absolute force when you are inside that paint, okay? The stats for this game, pretty even field goal percentage for the most part, but the three-pointer was the big difference. 47% from three-point range for Sacramento, 24% from three for the Denver Nuggets. The free throw percentage, 73% for Sacramento, 65% for the Denver Nuggets. That is another big key going into this Pelicans game tonight for the Sacramento Kings. You need to make your free throws and you need to be aggressive. I want to see us come with aggression. I want to see us get to the foul line. I want to see us put Zion Williamson in foul pressure. I want to see us put Jonas Valanciunas in foul pressure. Okay, the rebounds, A 1-point edge, but both teams were rebounding the ball extremely well. The assist numbers 35-33 in favor of the champs. The blocks were 7-5 in favor of the champs. The steals were 9-7 in favor of the champs. The points in the paint was 62-60. It was a really close battle in the paint, but the champs had the edge. But the Kings had the edge of 19 fast break points compared to 11, and Sacramento's bench outscored the Denver Nuggets bench by a really, really comfortable margin. As far as the stats, the Joker, you just can't stop him. The Joker did what he always does. 36 points, 14 assists, 13 rebounds with 2 steals. He went absolutely crazy in this game. Reggie Jackson, 20 points, 8 assists with a steal. Aaron Gordon back in the lineup. He had 17 points with 7 rebounds and 3 assists. Coming off the bench, Christian Braun, 11 points with 3 rebounds and a couple assists. As far as the Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox, first name De'Aaron, last name him, 26 points, 16 assists, the career high for him. He was 3 for 6 from three-point range, 3 of 4 for the free-throw line. All of them, I believe it was coming off the fourth quarter, I believe. He also had 3 steals, speaking of De'Aaron Fox. Keegan Murray's first game back in the lineup. He finished with 8 points, 2 for 5 from 3, with 5 rebounds and an assist. Domantas Sabonis, a double-double for him, 17 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. Kevin Huerter, 16 big buckets, 4 for 6 from three-point range, 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Malik Monk off the bench is absolutely insane. 26 points, 4 for 7 from three-point range, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. If you want to be the champs, you got to beat the champs, and that is exactly what Sacramento did. If we bring this same energy against New Orleans, we are going to go to Las Vegas for the NBA in-season tournament semifinals. And oh, by the way, I expect the Golden One Center to be an absolute loud house tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern live on TNT. If you cannot make it to the Golden One Center, 7 p.m. Sacramento Pacific time. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, IR Radio, Radio Public, Pandora, Spotify, and wherever else you want to listen to the show. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. I thank you all for tuning into today's show. I am your host, Skylar Weisberg, and I will see you right back here for another episode of Let 'Em Know Kings United.